It was one of those perfect trail running days. Sunny, but only in the 60s. The kind of day you'd invent if you could. But it had been a week since my last run, and I knew what was waiting for me. 9 miles and a ton of elevation. My legs felt a mix of pure excitement and the distinct feeling that they were about to file a formal complaint. About 2 miles in, right after hauling myself up one of the first big hills, the trail gave me a reward. Not a view, not yet. It was him. A coyote, just casually trotting down the path like he was late for a very important coyote business meeting. He paused, scanned the hillside, and for a moment seemed to be stalking something in the grass. I guess he was practicing his "I'm a vicious predator" look. But just as quickly, he seemed to forget what he was doing and continued on his way, disappearing around the bend. The first wild "how do you do" of the day. After that, the trail dives into the forest, and that's when the deer decided to hold their annual convention right in my path. First, a pair of doe and a very young fawn. They looked at me with pure, unadulterated "who is this sweaty moron?" and eventually got tired of my smell and went on their way then. Another one, a young buck with little baby antlers, gave a half stare and decides I'm not worth bolting for and shows me a middle tail wiggle. And all while this was happening, I was catching these incredible glimpses of the Stevens Canyon Reservoir, a sliver of perfect muddy emerald below, reminding me that I should come back for some badass bass fishing. The third encounter was the most memorable, a buck with a much more impressive rack. A sound spooked him, and for a wild second, he started trotting towards me before making a sharp turn and crashing into the bushes, like he'd just remembered he left the oven on. The trail eventually drops you right down alongside the water. The view goes from a distant landscape to this intimate, up-close beauty. The water was so still and clear in one corner, I could see fish hanging out near the surface, weaving between a congregation of old, dead logs. It felt like a completely different world from the hilltops, mostly because it was flat and I could finally breathe again. On the home stretch, the trail opens up again, running under these massive power lines that stretch for miles. And I had this weird thought. What would it look like to see a squirrel, or maybe even a mountain lion, using one of those cables as a personal tightrope, walking it across the canyon? Probably more graceful than I am, that's for sure. 9 miles done. Back at the car, I looked down at my shoes, caked in dust. The tread looking just a little more worn than when I started. Every hill, every animal, every view, it all leaves its mark. And it is always, always worth it.